Another Bendy and the Ink Machine theory? You betcha! Hey you Prodigies, Charles here, and in this video I'll be sharing with you another Bendy and the Ink Machine theory. This one will cover whether Bendy is good or bad. If you would like more horror game theories, remember to subscribe and tap that bell, as there will be more to come. Check the description if you want to know more about Bendy than your friends, because this channel is your little secret. Let's start with what we know. We know that the 3D cartoons have been brought to life because of rituals that Joey Drew performed. We also know that when the cartoons were brought to life, they were experimented on in some way, and it's assumed that this was done by Joey himself. There are messages written across all of the walls in ink, the most notable of which say, "Dreams come true," "Who's laughing now?" "The Creator lied to us," and "He will set us free." And finally, Sammy Lawrence was encased in what he calls
this prison, this inky, dark abyss I call a body.
And when he tries to sacrifice Henry to Bendy, Bendy turns on Sammy instead. Got all those facts? Now let's bring it all together. Looking at the posters around the studio, it is clear that Bendy is the main character of all of the cartoons produced at Joey Drew's cartoon studio. We could assume that Bendy is probably good rather than bad in this sense. So, when Joey performs rituals to bring Bendy into the real world, would Bendy's personality and intentions from the cartoons also carry through? Whether or not it would be true, we know that these rituals were performed on other characters, and from what we've seen from the Boris teaser and the end of Chapter 2, Boris seems to have appeared with a friendly or shy nature. Although the Meatly hasn't currently confirmed Boris's nature, it's safe to say that Boris, or any of the cartoons for that matter, wouldn't be very happy to have their chest cut open or to see their friend's corpse being tampered with. Therefore, I think that there are three perspectives to consider here. The first is that Bendy is bad in the perspective of the humans. This is because Bendy actively chases down any human within reach and kills them when the chance arises. The second is that Bendy is actually good and is helping out the cartoons, but is angered because the workers at the studio may not be treating the cartoons with the best of respect. In fact, both of these cases arise from the fact that one of the workers, namely Joey, was tampering with Boris's body at the beginning of Chapter 1. I say one of the workers because although Henry says, "Joey, what were you doing?" we haven't seen any evidence that Joey did this yet. It might not have even been one of the workers at all. That's where the third perspective comes in. The third perspective is that Bendy is bad no matter how you look at it. Whether this happened because that is Bendy's nature in the cartoon, or because something went horribly wrong in the ritual, is still up for interpretation. This is the Game of Thrones perspective, because Bendy wants to see pretty much everyone dead. Just like in the show, the messages around the walls also hint towards these perspectives and almost present themselves like a different story for each one. We start off with dreams come true. The cartoons being brought into the real world, which seems like an impossible feat, has been achieved. A dream has come true. But then we see poor Boris's corpse with the message, "Who's laughing now?" nearby. Who would be laughing? And why? This message almost seems to be mocking Boris. Was it written by a 3D cartoon or a human? This is followed by "The Creator lied to us," which suggests that the happiness of being brought into the 3D world was ruined by the Creator, whom many believe to be Joey Drew. In Chapter 2, we see the messages, "He will set us free," and "It's time to believe," which suggests that whoever is writing these messages is waiting for some kind of savior to rescue them. If we consider Bendy to be evil in the perspective of the humans, then it is possible that it is the humans writing these messages, and the story paints itself as a Frankensteinish message of happiness, followed by disaster. The workers weren't prepared for what they were creating, and instead of becoming masters to their creations, they became the slaves. I have actually considered the possibility of Sammy Lawrence being the one who wrote the messages in another theory, which you can check out by tapping the card that will appear in the top right. While the idea of Bendy helping the cartoons is also possible, the messages seem pretty mixed. In this case, it could still be possible that the humans wrote these messages, but if we try to consider the case of the cartoons writing them, things get pretty confusing. Everything besides "Who's laughing now" suggests that they were all a team. Is it possible that the 3D cartoons were working together, but there was a mutiny? If so, it's quite possible that Bendy became corrupted by power, using it against Boris and who knows who else at some point. Given the third perspective, aka the Game of Thrones perspective, the messages on the walls could have been written by one of the workers or Bendy himself. If it were Bendy, the messages paint a story of happiness, followed quickly by betrayal. Prodigies, All of this hinges on the idea of the messages written in the order that we see them. But it is also possible that they could have been written completely out of the order that I've mentioned. What do you think? And what story do you think these messages tell us? I think that Bendy turning against absolutely everyone looks like the safest option that we have. Take Sammy Lawrence as an example. He gets encased in an inky body and goes out of his way to please Bendy, only to be targeted instead of a fresh plate of dinner that Sammy offers to it. On top of this, Bendy always ends up going after Joey in the end, no matter what happens. It would also explain why Boris is dead in Chapter 1. Bendy didn't choose any favourites and went after anyone he could to maintain power over the cartoon studio and struck Boris down. Boris also appears to be somewhat of a timid character at the end of Chapter 2 and in one of the Bendy and the Ink Machine teasers, which might be because he knows what Bendy and the Searchers are capable of. It's such a shame though. Bendy being betrayed by the humans and becoming the hero of the 3D cartoons makes for a pretty neat story. Remember to subscribe and tap that bell for more cool and interesting horror game theories and secrets. If you enjoy horror game theories, be sure to check the description for a link to all of the theories and secrets, and Prodigies, I really hope that these videos help you to expand on how you think so it can help you with your thinking in your daily lives. Remember that anything to do with Bendy and the Ink Machine can change at any moment until Chapter 5 is finally released. I only made this video because the Prodigies asked me to provide my perspective on the game. The release of Chapter 3 in the future alone could change many things in the previous chapters. See ya!